AI isn't just changing jobs, it's changing what it means to have one. When people talk about AI and work, the first thing you hear is fear of layoffs, replacement, becoming irrelevant. And sure, that anxiety is real. But what if the real story isn't about jobs vanishing, but about value shifting? Because this isn't just another wave of automation, it's something deeper. It's not just taking tasks, it's redefining what humans are actually for in the modern workplace. And once you stop trying to outrun the machine, you start to see the truth. The most important skills in this new world are the ones only humans can bring. This episode is not about panic, it's about power, the kind that comes when you evolve with the tools instead of competing against them. Let's talk about how to work smarter in the age of AI. Let's be honest, one of the first things people think about when they hear AI isn't curiosity or wonder or even excitement. It's fear, specifically fear of losing their job. That little gut punch of realizing, wait, if a machine can do what I do, what happens to me? And look, it's a fair question. There is no denying that AI is automating things that used to take humans hours, writing reports, analyzing data, responding to customer service questions. Tasks that used to define entire roles are being handled in seconds by software. That's not a prediction, that's already happening. But here is what doesn't get talked about enough. Not all change is destruction. Sometimes it's a reset. At this moment, this shift we are living through isn't just about jobs disappearing. It's about the shape of work changing, about how value is being redefined in real time. The fear is valid, but it's not the full picture. Because, in a weird way, AI is also highlighting the parts of work that machines can do well, and that's where the opportunity is hiding. We've been through this kind of disruption before. Think about the Industrial Revolution. Machines took over repetitive manual labor, and yeah, that was scary. People lost jobs, whole industries shifted. But it also forced society to create new kinds of roles, ones that required judgment, coordination, creativity. We went from doing the same task over and over to managing systems, solving new problems, building new structures. And what's happening now? It's the same kind of thing, except this time it's not your hands being replaced, it's your head. And that hits differently because we have been taught our entire lives that thinking jobs are safe, that if you sit at a desk and work with information, you are future proof. But now machines are doing just that and they are doing it well. That's the gut check moment. But here is where the pivot starts. Because once the dust settles, what remains isn't nothing. What remains is work that matters in ways AI can't replicate. Not just doing, but deciding. Not just responding, but relating. Not just output, but outcomes. Let me give an example. Imagine you are a project manager. A lot of your job might be coordinating tasks, updating timelines, communicating with clients. AI can help with that. It can summarize meetings, assign tasks, even flag risks. So, yeah, that slice of your job gets automated. But the other part, reading the emotional tone in a difficult team meeting, sensing when a client's trust is slipping, knowing when to push and when to hold back, that's not automation material. That's judgment. That's leadership. That's human. And those soft skills, they are quickly becoming core skills. The stuff that once nice to have, empathy, communication, resilience are now front and center. Because as AI handles more of the execution, the real value comes from what surrounds the task, what we are doing it, why we are doing it, who it's for, whether it aligns with bigger goals. That broader thinking isn't something AI is designed to do, at least not in any deep or flexible way. That's on us. And the people who learn to step into that space are going to be the ones who not only survive the shift, but lead it. But this part is important. We can't do that if we're still trying to compete with the machine. If our instinct is to work faster, produce more, mimic the efficiency of AI, we have already lost. Because no matter how smart you are, no matter how hard you work, You're not going to outpace a system that can run 24/7 with no fatigue and no distractions. The win isn't in the race, the win is in changing lanes entirely. Now, here is where the real mindset shift starts. Instead of asking, will AI take my job? The better question might be, which parts of my job should be automated and what does that free me up to do? That second part is the key because automation isn't always a threat. Sometimes it's a relief. It is the chance to hand off the boring, the repetitive, the draining parts of your role and focus on the stuff that actually uses your mind, your personality, your ability to make things better. But that only happens if you're willing to let go of the identity wrapped up in the task itself. Think about how much of our self worth gets tied to productivity. We pride ourselves on being busy, on doing it all ourselves, on juggling a million things. But if a tool can do something in 5 seconds that used to take you 50 minutes, does that make you less valuable? Or does it give you a chance to bring even more value in a different way? That's where a lot of people get stuck because when something gets automated, it can feel like your role is shrinking, but the opposite can also be true. Your role can evolve. It just depends on how you respond. And to be clear, this isn't just about individual choices. Companies are going to have to change how they think about value too. Right now, so many performance reviews are based on output: how many emails sent, how many reports delivered, how fast you checked off the list. But as AI takes over those metrics, organizations will need to get a lot more serious about measuring things that are harder to track. Things like influence, creativity, adaptability. And leaders will have to ask harder questions, not just was the task done, but did we make the right decision? Did we grow? Did we learn? We're also going to see something else emerge, something that's already starting quietly in a lot of industries: the rise of AI augmented roles, jobs that don't disappear but change shape because they are being done with AI, not instead of a person. Writers who use AI to brainstorm but still craft the final voice. Designers who get help with layouts but still control the aesthetics. Analysts who let the software sort the data but still ask the right questions. In these roles, the human isn't being replaced, they are being elevated. And that's the real power here if we let ourselves see it. AI isn't the ceiling, it is the floor. It takes care of the baseline so you can build higher. It gives you a creative assistant, a research partner, a time saver as long as you don't mistake it for a replacement for your own thinking. Because here is the deal: the best ideas, the best breakthroughs, the boldest strategies don't come from efficiency, they come from insight. And insight isn't generated, it's earned through experience, through challenge, through paying attention to what's really going on. But to stay relevant, you have to stay curious. That's the through line. Because the future of work isn't just about learning new tools, it's about learning to see differently, to notice where things are shifting, to ask why things are done the way they are, to spot gaps the algorithms missed. AI doesn't question the process, it doesn't challenge assumptions. That's on you. And if you build that skill, the skill of thoughtful disruption, you will always have a place, even in an AI powered world. Because, in a strange way, this shift might actually bring us back to what work was supposed to be about: not grinding, not checking boxes, but creating value that matters, not proving you can do the same task over and over, but showing that you can adapt, grow, and lead through change. That's not something you can automate, that's something you become. One of the most underrated effects of AI on work isn't the obvious stuff, not the tasks it replaces or the roles it transforms, but the shift in how we relate to our own time. For years, we have measured a good day by how much we got done, checked boxes, cleared emails, moved fast. But now, with AI doing more of the doing, we are left staring at a deeper question: if you are not constantly busy, how do you define your value? That question can be uncomfortable, especially in cultures where being overwhelmed is worn like a badge of honor, where speed equals success. But maybe this is our invitation to rethink the whole equation. If AI can generate a report in 5 seconds, does that mean the report matters less, or does it mean we should spend more time thinking about what we are reporting and why? When tasks become effortless, meaning becomes the real differentiator. And that shift from motion to meaning might be the most important evolution happening right now. It's also going to change how we collaborate because when machines handle the logistics, what we bring to the table is less about managing timelines and more about shaping direction. It becomes less about execution and more about alignment. Can we agree on a shared goal? Can we navigate uncertainty together? Can we build trust in a world where the tools keep changing? These aren't tech questions, they are human ones, and they are becoming central to how we work, not just at the leadership level, but everywhere. Even creativity is shifting, not disappearing, but shifting. Before, being creative meant starting from scratch. Now, it might mean knowing how to remix, how to refine, how to guide the AI towards something that feels original. That's not cheating, that's a new kind of literacy. The ability to co create, to bring your own point of view to something that began with an algorithm. It's not about rejecting the tool, it's about owning the direction because AI doesn't know what matters, you do. And while a lot of people are worrying about losing relevance, there is another group quietly that's already making moves. They're not asking, will AI take my job? They're asking, how can I design better workflows with it? What parts of my role could become more strategic if I had more time? These are the people who understand that disruption is real, but so is reinvention. They're not trying to win the world game, they are trying to redefine the playing field. That's where this all leads, not to a world without humans, but to a world where human work finally has a space to get deeper, more thoughtful, more connected. The boring stuff, gone. The soul draining repetition, gone. What's left is what can be outsourced to an algorithm, building culture, navigating nuance, showing leadership, creating meaning, sensing timing, inspiring trust. That's not some distant fantasy. What's on the table right now? For anyone willing to see beyond the fear. So, no, the robots aren't here to steal your job. They're here to change what the job is. And whether that's a threat or an opportunity depends entirely on how willing you are to evolve. Not just your tools, but your mindset. In the next episode, we're going even deeper because the shift isn't just changing how we work, it is changing how we define being human. When machine mirrors our words, our choices, our personalities, we're forced to ask, what makes us us? We will explore that in the next episode titled The Mirror Effect. Thanks for watching.